we've done it. We've done it. We've reached the end of side 2 of Weird Al Yankovic in 3D on, of course, this is the Beard Al Podcast, a podcast where we talk about 2 of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. And like I said, we've done it. We've celebrated the 40th anniversary of Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, the sophomore effort from your hero and mine, Weird Al Yankovic. And just like I did for the end of side 1, I have probably, one of the most expert people to, react as a fan of comedy music to a whole side of comedy music. Insane Ian's here again. Hello, how are you?
Hello, and yes, hooray, and welcome, and all sorts of good things there. I've never actually been called an expert by anybody other than myself, so I appreciate that, and usually when I say it, I'm kidding, so...
Hey, we're all experts on this show. No, but
yes, absolutely. Clearly, that's why we're here.
Exactly. That's truly why we're here. But I mean, one of the things that you do so expertly, there I threw it in there again, on
there's that word.
I know. I just keep saying it. I don't think I know what it means. On your YouTube channel, you do this whole series where it's a comedy musician reacts to comedy music.
That is correct. Yes.
And so when I was, weeks ago, getting to the end of side 2 of side 1 rather of in 3D, I was like, how do I flip this record? What do I do? And you were the first person to pop into my mind, and I was like, well, Insane Ian can react to a whole side of this with me, and then we'll do it again after side 2. So thank you for coming back for that.
Well, thanks for having me in the first place and now the second place. So I appreciate that.
I'm glad I didn't scar you too much with the first
side. No, of course not. No, just only the normal amount of scarring. It's completely fine.
Right. The normal amount of scarring. That's fabulous. Oh, boy. Well, so people, if you've been listening to this series this entire time, hopefully. If not, even if you just listened to Ian's last appearance, that's fine. Also, you'll get the kind of swath of the whole album, but you know how this works. We're gonna throw some facts out here at the beginning, and then talk a bit about what we think really works about this particular side of the record, and then at the end we'll anything that we think could have been done better, who knows? And it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a wonderful time. But before we jump into that, Ian, I know you have some really fun projects that you're working on that maybe some of the same from before, maybe some new things from before, but either way, I think the people listening to this show need to hear about them. So please tell us.
Of course. Well, first and foremost, if you like what I say about Weird Al and stuff like that, not only do I do a comedy musician reacts on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/insaneian, but also I have been reacting, well, not so much reacting as giving behind-the-scenes stories and talking about some of my favorite Weird Al music videos exclusively over on my Patreon at patreon.com/insaneian. We just did, for the month of June, You Don't Love Me Anymore, and I talked about how that video is a parody itself of Extremes More Than Words, which the song isn't a parody of that, but the music video is. And I talk about the comparisons between the two videos, the elements that were parodied, the extreme jokes that sometimes reactors seem to miss, and all sorts of other things like that. I am also, of course, a comedy musician myself. I am releasing tons of music over at insaneian.bandcamp.com. I have a couple of albums in the works. Hopefully, I will have a fundraiser coming out soon, a crowdfunding thing for a new album called either Fun Size or Bite Size. I still haven't decided on the name, which is why the fundraiser isn't out when we're recording this. But it's basically a collection of really short songs, usually about a minute or shorter, some a little over. But that's the idea, is bite-sized songs, fun-sized songs, and that is what I'm working on there. And of course, to kind of plug something else that somebody else did that I'm involved in, Lily Hirsch's book, Taking Funny Music Seriously, is out now. And it is a fantastic resource if you are at all interested in the art of comedy music, how it is so much more than just a novelty. And they go through and they interview Lily interviewed many comedy musicians for this book. Mr. Peter Schickel, who was also PDQ Bach, Tom Lehrer, Kate Micucci and Ricky Lindholm from Garfunkel and Oates, yes. And also a certain podcast guest named Insane Ian is also quoted in this book.
I love it.
I'm super excited to be involved with this. I'm in the chapter about Dr. Demento, of course, And I was honored to have been interviewed for this, and that kind of gets me another notch on the expert part of my bio now. So anyway, not to plug something else that somebody else did, but that book is amazing. And even if I wasn't in it, I would be plugging it because it is a fantastic resource. It's a textbook about comedy music. How could you not love it? And I'm excited for it.
You should be. First of all, I fully intend to, and have already talked to her about this, having Lily on the show to talk about that book, because I think it's an amazing thing to do. And as a college writing instructor, that book makes me want to build a class. Like
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay, I want to teach this now, so I'm, this is just, that they probably won't let me. I'm just an adjunct and I need to teach core classes. But part of me is like, no, you don't know how much fun I could have though.
We can make this work somehow. We can make it work.
We will. One of these days, when I finally retire into academia, and I just teach, which is the plan, in decades from now, but that's the plan. Yeah. That's so cool that I'm so excited about that book. I'm so excited to talk to Lily about that book, and it's so cool that you're in that book.
Yeah, I was thrilled to have been asked. I actually did an interview with her back in 2020 when the pandemic was just starting. The way books are, obviously, and the amount of research that she's doing and the amount of interviews she was conducting, it took a while for it to finally come out. But I'm so glad that it did. I actually put my entire interview that with her permission that she conducted with me for free over on my Patreon. So that is available over there if you want to see that too.
That's so cool. So Ian, this is like another thing that we have in common, because I'm quoted in the extended edition of Weird Al Seriously, and so we're both in Lily Hirsch books.
We are. It's so nice and wonderful.
I love this little. I say little tiny, but like it's huge and it's fun. But I love how close knit and goofy this whole comedy music community tends to be. And I don't even do it.
Oh, yeah.
I just love it, but I get to talk about it and people want to talk to me about it. So I think that's neat and it's great. Oh, I'm so excited you're here. This is wonderful.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Okay. So to the topic at hand, side 2 of the Weird Al Yankovic in 3D album, which was released on... I have to scroll so far. It was released on February
40 years ago this year.
40 years ago, but of February 28th, 1984. So, yeah, that's just wild. It's just crazy to think, But anyway,
I was but a wee lad.
I was nary a twinkle. I was gonna be. I came out the next year. I came out just after Dare to Be Stupid. So
you were released the year following.
I was released the year after this. Yeah, that's when I came out. But yeah, so we've got a whole bunch of fun tracks on side 2. Side 2 kicks off with Mr. Popeil, which is a style parody of the B-52s, and then,
a fantastic style parody, I must say.
Oh my gosh, top notch style parody, but I will not say more about that because we have a whole discussion portion of the program that
okay.
I'm about to. I'm gonna geek out hard on Mr. Popeil.
Sure.
Then King of Suede follows that, which is a direct parody of King of Pain by The Police. And to plug in an earlier episode of this show, interesting perspective occurred. If you didn't listen to our King of Suede episode, I had Dayton from the Docking Bay 77 podcast on, who is a huge Police fan. He didn't know that this song existed until I told him about King of Suede. So he came on with because most people who come on this show, they come because they're big Weird Al fans, right? They're on it for the Weird Al of it all. He was here to say, I didn't know that this Weird Al parody existed. I love the Police original. Let's have that conversation. And it was very different than what usually happens over here. So I would say that's a fun one.
Sure.
Fun one to go check out. That's followed up by That Boy Could Dance, which is a Weird Al Yankovic original, and just so happens to, if you bought the 45 of this, it's the B-side to Eat It.
Of course.
And that's followed up by the theme from Rocky 13, otherwise known as The Rye of the Kaiser, which is a parody of Eye of the Tiger by Survivor.
That's a lot of sounds.
Yes, like yeah, it's true. It's true. You almost want to growl.
Eye of the Tiger by Survivor sounds like an Eminem lyric, honestly.
Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Ride of the Kaiser. Yeah, there's a lot happening there.
Yes.
And then that the album wraps up with Nature Trail to Hell, which is another Weird Al original, kind of all about
the first of Al's many epic length album closers.
Yes, and it's perfect in that regard. We went into pretty deep depths about that on our recent episode about that too.
I'm sure.
Oh man, it was wild stuff. My husband admitted some things on that episode, and you know what? I feel like it needs to get shared again because he shared it on this show. So now I'm fully licensed to share it without him being here.
Fully licensed and bonded.
Yeah, exactly. It's he thought that when a person died in a movie that they actually died. When he was a kid.
I was going to say, how long did he think this?
Which when he was a kid. So like it was
Okay,
around when this song came out. So when he first heard Nature Trail to Hell, it was like he had seen horror movies of that ilk, but he was like, oh my God, like all these people are dying for these movies.
Admittedly, that's what we call in the comedy business commitment to a bit. But I think that's a little far to go for scale for most of those movies. I can understand that. I can understand feeling that at a young age, not knowing that, these roles are played by actors.
Yeah.
And who and also people of that age, and when you're younger, you don't quite have the same face recognition for people in movies. Like, hey, I saw them in another movie. You wouldn't have thought, hey, I saw them in another movie and I saw them die. How are they here? That's not a thing that really happened when you're younger, I think.
Right.
Now with the internet age and everybody, going to IMDb or in my case, me being IMDb. My wife calls me IMDb.
Oh my God.
The Ian Movie Database. But because I just every actor on screen, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember them from this, and it's a sickness I have. Anyway, moving on. Because we have that now, it's a little easier to do. But I'm sure, as a child, it's not something you're thinking about.
No, and so I thought that was a very adorable thing to admit on a podcast, and so I was like,
absolutely.
I was like, how I didn't think I could find you even more adorable, but here you are. So
it endears your husband even more to you.
It's true. So since we're wrapping up the Weird Al Yankovic in 3D album, just a couple high level stuff about how the album itself performed overall. So like we said earlier, it was released at the end of February of 1984. And on April 28th of that year, it peaked at number 17, and it stayed there for 3 consecutive weeks. It spent a total of 23 weeks on the chart. I guess it needed one more month to hit that 27. But it was very successful in Australia, where it peaked at number 61. And actually, Eat It was, as of, I don't think he's had any number 1 singles other than Eat It in Australia.
I think Word Crimes might have done.
Okay, might have done.
Word Crimes was... I don't know if it was number 1, but I think it got real close.
Got real close.
Number 1.
Well,
I know obviously had a number 1 album with Mandatory Fun, but I feel like I think Word Crimes did really, really well. And I'm going to live Google that now.
Yeah, well, this gives me an opportunity to to do this while you're looking it up.
Wait a minute. I'll go check.
I love that that's a soundbite that you have already. That's perfect.
Isn't it, though?
Let's see.
It pleases me to no end.
Okay, so in the Billboard Hot 100, its peak position was 39, but the U.S. Comedy Digital Tracks on Billboard was number 1.
Okay. So, yeah, there's all this wild stuff going on.
Because you have to change things for the modern era of streaming.
Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
I know.
And thank you for streaming this podcast.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, there's no other way to listen to it. I mean, do you get this podcast on physical media? I don't know how you did that.
They're issuing it on wax cylinder in 3 weeks.
Right. I'm going to play my podcast on your Victrola. Oh, good times. Good times. um, but yeah, so "Eat It" was the lead single off of the Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, and it did really, really well. It peaked at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 here in the U.S. And the follow-up singles, "King of Suede" and "I Lost on Jeopardy!", which all of these singles were from side one. We're not talking about them today, but just so we know all of this stuff.
No, King of Suede is
on side two. You're right. I just said that, and then I'm getting in my own brain about stuff. But anyway, "King of Suede" peaked at 61, and "I Lost on Jeopardy!" peaked at 82.
Yes.
Fun thing about "I Lost on Jeopardy!", which again was on side one, but Greg Kihn of the Greg Kihn Band, the royalties that he receives for "I Lost on Jeopardy!", he calls mailbox money.
Yes.
I think that's great.
I love how Greg shows up in the end of the music video.
Me too.
I find it interesting that Jeopardy ranked lower on the Hot 100 at 82 than King of Suede did when Jeopardy had a music video and King of Suede did not.
That's very interesting. I would posit that it might have to do with the fact that "King of Pain" might have been a bigger hit than Jeopardy.
Entirely possible, yeah.
So,
although I'll get into that when we get to King of Suede in our discussion here.
Okay, so those are
at least my personal experience with that. I mean,
I love it. So we might as well just jump into that. So yeah, we're gonna hit some positives on this album. So if you want to actually do that, go into your King of Suede.
Well, I wanted to jump into something.
Oh, do what you want.
Before I go into King of Suede, I want to say something, kind of a redaction of what I said last time I appeared on this. I posited. See, we both said it now.
Good.
I posited that I would have switched the position of Midnight Star and Mr. Popeil on the album because I thought Mr. Popeil was a stronger song than Midnight Star, forgetting that side 2 starts with Mr. Popeil, and you want that strong start to the next side of the album to keep the listeners enticed. And while I love Midnight Star, I don't love it as strongly as I do Mr. Popeil. And that was why I had initially wanted to switch those, but looking at it as a side A, side B kind of experience, absolutely the placement of Mr. Popeil where it is perfect and should remain the same way. So I redact what I said previously.
You heard it here, folks. We have a redaction. This means people's opinions can change, and I love that because the one thing I absolutely, and if I had to say my number one thing that I think works the most about side 2 of In 3D is the placement of Mr. Popeil. Like, it is a banger side opener. It gives you so much information to open this side, right? Because you're flipping it over. You are hot off a polka medley. You're hot off of the first polka medley. Polka's on 45, right? And then you flip this thing over, and it's Mr. Popeil. You have no context. You don't know what this is going to be or what this is going to sound like. And then it happens. And again, for a young guy, early career, you don't really know who he is as an artist just yet, other than he's the guy who spoofs other people's stuff, right? He's the Eat It guy right now, but you're flipping this over, and Mr. Popeil happens, and it's like, well, hot diggity donuts. Like, this is...
I've never heard that expression, and I love it.
Thank you. That was very in the moment self-censoring.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Thank you so much. I don't mind letting, a little cuss word here and there slide on the show, but that was going to be very profound, so I needed to reel it back.
And nothing is more profound than hot diggity donuts.
Exactly.
We need to change the Krispy Kreme sign that says hot fresh donuts to hot diggity donuts.
Hot diggity donuts. Yeah, exactly. But like, for real though, this song, when I first heard it, I had absolutely no context for what was happening here. And I didn't know who Mr. Popeil was.
You had no context for the infomercials that were plaguing our televisions day and night at this time, and even earlier. Never seen the commercials for the pocket fisherman or the Ginsu knife that can cut a tin can as well as a tomato.
Right. I had no context for early B-52s. I had no idea what this was. I was just like, this is funny and I don't know why.
Yeah. I will admit, I was young when this song came out, so I didn't quite know who Mr. Popeil was and all the Ronco products. And so my mom did explain that to me. But I did know B-52s. I'd heard them on the radio, and I was like, this kind of sounds like Rock Lobster, but it's not. Al doing a pitch-perfect Fred Schneider impression on the vocals. Just quality top to bottom. And it's one of those things that Al does in the early albums where it's, here, I'm going to do something on this very specific, very niche topic that I happen to really, really love. And because I really love it, and because it's really niche, I'm going to put so many references into it that this song is almost 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's the second longest song on this side. It is,
and the second longest song on the album.
And the second longest song on the album, yeah. Very, very, very true. So, yeah, this song is chock full. It's a bargain for what it is.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, the second longest song on the album and on the side, and I find that interesting anyway, because technically this side has fewer songs than side one, because there's only 11 tracks on the album.
Yes.
But this is... this song and the song at the end of the album are the longest songs. So the time spans, it stretches a little perfectly for the entire length of the album, side A versus side B, as far as records go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very balanced, so if we're
the whole album is 44 minutes in total. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, exactly. It's super balanced in that way. And again, I know we're focused on talking about side two, but you can't help but then, since you and I talked about side one a couple weeks ago, you can't help but take that bird's eye view back and look at the whole thing kind of as a journey, through it. And so like, I don't think side one is stronger than side two, and I don't think side two is stronger than side one. I think this is a supremely balanced album. And spoiler alert for what's going to happen when I start talking about Dare to Be Stupid, I can't say the same about that album, right?
I will say Dare to Be Stupid was the first full album I had listened to of Al's, so I am a little biased in my opinion of that one. But fair to say, I somewhat agree with you here. I do think on this one, side B is a little slightly less as good as side one. I still love side two. It still has some absolute bangers, but I don't feel it's as... I do feel that side A might be slightly stronger, if only because it is carried by the hugeness that is Eat It.
Yeah, I hear that. I absolutely hear that. This is as balanced as he was up until like recently,
Yeah.
Like this is a very balanced album.
I will say that even looking at this album, like there's no song on this album I dislike.
Right.
And, I do have my love for a lot of the songs on side B, but I feel like side A is stronger just because it has more songs. Just sometimes that alters my perception a little bit. Give me more bang for my buck, even though as far as time wise, they're about the same.
Yeah,
as we had just discussed.
Right. Again, the balance of it all. So yeah, like we talked about how the it opens with the banger for side two. Mr. Popeil absolutely could not open the album, but it absolutely can open side two.
Absolutely. And we all said absolutely no.
So absolutely.
A lot of repetition in this episode. I'm sorry. I just didn't mean to point it out. I just keep noticing it.
I love it. I have no problem with it. I feel like that's kind of what happens when, you're approaching the end of a masterpiece,
Yeah.
You're like, what else can we say other than the things that we've said, but also we enjoy it.
I'm saying them again. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So you had a King of Suede moment that you wanted to make sure you got to.
I did. So King of Suede is a weird song for me because when I first listened to this album, I didn't know that was a parody. I had never heard the song King of Pain.
Me too.
And I thought that for years. Like, at least a decade, if not more. Until I finally, when I started collecting records for, like, a more serious idea of collecting records, and especially Al records, when I finally came across the promo 45 of King of Suede. And the promo 45 picture sleeve is a parody of the Synchronicity album cover
Yes, sir.
for the Police. That album had King of Pain on it, and it has the swashes of color kind of in a zigzag on the cover with some images of the band. And on this, it has the same swashes of color, but instead of images of the band, it has one image of Al dressed as Sting.
And it's a beautiful image. It's one of those it's jarring. You know, it's one of the first instances where you're like, well,
is that Al?
Is that Al?
The hair's kind of pulled back. Could be a wig. Got the aviator sunglasses on, or at least the mirrored sunglasses on.
A little 5 o'clock shadow happening.
A little bit 5 o'clock shadow, a little less pronounced mustache, but still there.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing that and knowing the Synchronicity album, I'm like, oh, that's kind of like knowing the cover. I hadn't listened to it at that point. But seeing that comparison and going, oh, why is it looking like this? Oh, because that's a Police parody. It took me so long to finally realize that. And again, I find that fascinating that song was so popular, and Al's version had ranked so much higher than the other single, I Lost on Jeopardy. That was weird to me because I'd heard Jeopardy, at least.
Yeah.
I had heard Greg Kinn's version. And of course we discussed how, that song came about. What's his face bringing back Merv Griffin, bringing back the Jeopardy game show.
Yes. So now I feel like I need to know. So King of Pain, its peak position on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 was number 3.
Wow.
And Jeopardy
somehow just not in Baltimore when I was a kid.
Yeah, right. Jeopardy. Oh my gosh! By the Greg Kinn Band, U.S. Billboard Hot 100 peak position number 2.
Wow! Oh wow! That's really funny. No wonder Al picked them for the album.
Yeah.
But,
well, and that's wild because when we were doing our King of Suede episode, my husband lamented that he wished that Al parodied Wrapped Around Your Finger instead.
Sure.
From Synchronicity, because he likes that song better, and he was like that song would have been a better parody for him. But Wrapped Around Your Fingers peak position was number 8 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. Now, all this to say,
I feel. Go ahead. I'll follow that up. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say all this to say I took that as an opportunity for myself as a human being to write parody lyrics to the first verse of Wrapped Around Your Finger. And now, if you know me, I go for very low hanging fruit. Okay, of course. So
easy to do.
So it's called You'll Be Pulling on My Finger.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I was really, really proud of it. I might actually send them to you after this just to see what you think about my stupid lyrics.
That's fair. I will certainly give them my assessment.
Anyway, what were you going to say before I brought my fart parody into this?
Which, we all have our fart parodies. We all have our fart parody era. Let's be honest. But I literally a week ago, I was on the Weird Pals podcast.
Yeah, they're cool.
About this episode won't be out for a little bit, so I'm giving a little bit of spoiler if people listen to that and this. But I was there discussing Isle Thing from the UHF soundtrack.
Sure.
And I had, of course, lamented the fact that why hadn't Al parodied Funky Cold Medina? Because in my eyes, that was the bigger hit of the two songs Tone Loc did, and instead of Wild Thing. And I didn't get a chance to check its position on the charts, but I have a feeling it may have been a situation that was similar, whereas Wild Thing ranked higher than Funky Cold Medina, but Funky Cold Medina was a huge hit. And especially where I lived in Baltimore at the time, I heard Funky Cold Medina way more times than I ever heard Wild Thing.
Yeah.
So I always, with the choices Al makes them very specifically and for very intense reasons, and very specific reasons. And he there is a method to his madness, as always. It just, like, my own personal perception of things being what they were, where I was listening to music at the time, what things I was exposed to weren't the same as what the charts were doing.
Yeah. Just to settle that for you, Wild Thing.
You quickly looked that up.
I sure did. Wild Thing, U.S. Billboard Hot 100, peaked at number 2. Funky Cold Medina peaked at number 3.
There you go. And that's the difference between the two.
It's crazy.
And that is what I assumed happened, considering the situation between King of Pain and Wrapped Around Your Finger. So
yeah, and Tone Loc, by the way, is 58 years old. So there's that to have. I don't like time moving the way it does.
Well, time is a flat circle.
Time
it just
is
happens.
a flat circle. It does. Yep, that's what happens. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So that's an interesting bit about King of Suede, and yeah, it's I love it. It it is what it is. So That Boy Could Dance. I'm.
A personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's great, right?
It's not just great, but for me, it was the second Weird Al song I ever heard.
Same for my husband. Literal same.
So my exposure to Weird Al, I think I mentioned this when we talked about Eat It, was that, a friend of my mom's was singing Eat It, and then the next day my mom found the 45 of Eat It, originally thinking that her friend had made it up until she saw it, and so brought it home, and I listened to Eat It, and I flipped it over, and there was That Boy Could Dance. So that was the second song of Al's I'd ever heard. And then, later I found, the Transformers, the movie, had come out, and Dare to Be Stupid was in that, and I got the Dare to Be Stupid album, and blah, 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 blah.
I love it.
But, That Boy Could Dance holds a special place in my heart, obviously, not just from being the second Weird Al song I'd ever heard, but because I'd listened to that record so much. I had that song memorized, and I later covered it for 26 and a Half, the third Weird Al fan tribute album.
Yes.
And
It's
I
special.
not only covered it in a Lady Gaga style before it was revealed that Al was parodying Lady Gaga later that year. Our album came out a week before Al's album with the Lady Gaga parody on it. But I managed to not only get interviewed by coversongs.com, but I wound up in Nathan Rabin's books about Weird Al, a weird accordion to Al, all 3 editions of that, thanks to my cover of that song.
That's amazing. I love how we're finding ways to mention all the amazing Weird Al authors that are out there too.
Absolutely. And also shamelessly plugging ourselves.
You know what? Here's the thing. I feel like, you're doing the thing. I just have fun talking about the thing, but at the same time, people know us because of the thing, so we might as well, plug all we can around the thing.
Hi, I'm George McClure. You might remember me from such Weird Al songs as...
Exactly. Oh my God. Well, like, people at work know me as the Weird Al lady. Like, I'm dead serious.
Perfect.
And I feel like it certainly hasn't hurt my career. Like, I shamelessly, my background wall in my office is all my Weird Al autographs, my posters, my pictures with him. Like, I've got Weird Al. It's every inch of wall space behind me in any work meeting is just full of Weird Al stuff.
Perfect.
And nobody says anything. I don't do the thing where I don't blur, people like they are ashamed of whatever their background is of like for their home office. So they blur their background. I'm like, look I've got like 3.
I only do that because mine's a mess.
Well, that's fair. You know, but I've got like 3 Weird Al autographs behind me. I'm like, I'm not blurring this. Like, if you're gonna
Of
be like,
course
is that Weird Al Yankovic's autograph behind you? I'm gonna be like, yes, it is. I finally had a meeting with somebody earlier this very week that was like, I just always love your background. It makes me so happy. And I'm like, good, because that's what Weird Al's supposed to do.
Perfect. I will say, going, you being known as the Weird Al lady at work, is kind of what I was known as. Not the Weird Al lady, obviously, but the Weird Al guy. So there was a music store in the mall by my high school that I would go to a lot, and this was the era just before the internet, so it wasn't like, I could check online at weirdal.com to find out the release date of an upcoming Al album. I would just go into the record store and ask, hey, is a new Weird Al album coming out yet? And then go to the comedy section and go through the CDs to see if there was anything there that I didn't have yet, or something I might have missed or whatever. Just going through the albums. And I did that kind of often enough that they never knew my name. They just called me Al. And then I started working there because I needed a job, and I'm like, hey, I like music, and also, I have the mind for it and whatnot. So let me try to apply at this music store I keep frequenting. And after I started, they told me, they were like, we didn't know your name, but you were always the guy who came in to look for Weird Al CDs, so we called you Al. So that was my nickname for like the 7 years that I worked there.
That's beautiful. There's worse
We also
things.
had a guy named Elvis because he came in and looked at the Elvis CDs. So
that's great.
It was a theme in our store.
Yeah, well,
it wasn't Dave Rossi. Let me preface that.
Oh my God, that's great. That's great. We're totally nerding out on this whole. So people listening to this, you probably know Dave Rossi from Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, right?
Yes.
Well, do you want to hear? Have we had this conversation? We've had the whole like Hershey Park Weird Al conversation, right? We've done this.
I believe so, yes.
And how my first time seeing Weird Al was in Hershey Park in 1999. And my parents, we got to Hershey Park at for when it opened, and we ran to the amphitheater because the concert was in the park.
Yes.
And my parents sat in line the whole day while my brother and I rode rides. And do you know who was in line behind my parents?
Could it have been Dave Elvis Rossi?
It was Dave Elvis Rossi. And my mom, because I didn't believe her, because he went to the first show. My parents stayed in line for the second show so we could have better seats.
That's great.
And when my brother and I finally got back, my mom was like, you won't believe this guy had Weird Al tattoos, And I was like, no, nobody's gonna, you know what I mean? And then fast forward to us talking about seeing Weird Al and Hershey as our first ever show on our show. And then it was Ethan who actually reached out to me, and he was like, so I'm pretty sure that was Dave. And I'm like, no way. So I just got like to harken back to what we were saying before, what a small world that the whole comedy music community makes. It's great. I love it.
And I think it's funny because I may have been at those 99 Hershey Park shows too. So, because I was living on the East Coast at the time, so it was easy for me to go to those shows. One of my first was a couple years earlier than that, but I definitely probably was at the 99 shows as well with friends of mine from college. And I met Dave at some show I think it was in either DC or Baltimore. And I saw him backstage at one of the shows. And I was like, wait a minute, I know who you are. I knew him from sight because I saw his picture in the Midnight Star fanzine that, we were subscribed to. It was, I missed the Midnight Star. It was such a great fanzine. But, we have the internet now.
I know.
But, that's how I knew about, Dave Rossi and Carl the Arm Ditmar and all these as names in the pantheons of Al fandom.
It's beautiful.
Carlotta Barnes, who used to run that, and all those names.
I love it. I'm very fortunate on my end over here to have a mute button on my soundboard because I'm in the middle of sneezing a whole bunch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it happens. I can't sneeze just once.
Oh, I've known people like that. My ex-wife was a rampant multi sneezer. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a serial sneezer. It's delightful. But anyway, we're having a great time talking about side 2 of In 3D. And
Yes.
so I feel like I've slightly switched the format up for this. We're not coming with 3 things that we think work. We're just going through and like touching on each song, which I think is also totally fine.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about stuff that works about each song. And, that's great. It's great. Whatever. It's my show. I make up the rules. So,
And because I forgot about that, that's why I did that.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is all on accident, on purpose, and great.
Absolutely. Whoopsie doodle. It's my problem.
Well,
All right.
First of all, the Beard Owl podcast is built on happy accidents. There's been so many things about this show that, like, I'll release an episode on a certain day, and somebody will reach out to me. I got we did an episode on the Angry White Boy Polka, and it ended up coming out January 6th.
Oh. Okay, you don't need to say any more on that. That explains a lot of things that shouldn't be explained.
Right, but it was the year after, but it just so my release dates are Friday, and it just when it kind of lined up. And then
We call that cosmic.
Somebody messaged me and was like, "Did you do that on purpose?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." But okay. Like, oops, it is what it is.
The trickster gods of days and dates were playing with you for fun again.
That's truly what happened. It's like, well, all right, we're gonna live with that. Here's what it is. So the theme from Rocky 13.
What a segue!
I know.
Professionalism.
I'm so good at this, Ian. I'm so good at this. That's my empty sneeze nose. Now I snort laughed at myself. That's great. Super cool.
That's fine. I do it all the time.
Super cool. So the theme from Rocky 13. This one I had some context for when I first heard it, but not like all the context for it. But one thing I do love about this is in the grand scheme of what makes up the Weird Al Yankovic in 3D album is there's so much of it that we wouldn't have if Michael Jackson weren't so like, okay, Al, you can have it. Like, that's fine. Because
stellar impression, by the way.
Thanks so much. Survivor was fixing to say no until they caught wind that Michael Jackson was okay with it. And they were like, well, we can't say no. If Michael said, we got it. Okay.
Yeah. We can't be too big for our britches if Michael Jackson isn't being too big for his britches.
Right. Like, I think that's great. And this is it's a solid parody. I feel like the fact that the key change does something to this for me that it doesn't have as much zip as the original.
Sure. Well, that's because at this period, Al hadn't taken as many voice lessons.
Right.
And so the key change is a little tougher for him, and he's really a lot of songs, especially on this album, he's singing really, really in his front mask. A lot of nasal singing is happening on this album. And, that's what you do sometimes when you're not trained as a singer and you try to hit high notes that you've never hit before. I say this as someone who is not a trained singer and hits notes that he hasn't hit before all the goddamn time.
I love it. I love
it. Much to the chagrin of my listeners. So, it's something I know and I experience myself. So I understand it. But all that being said, he still does an outstanding job with it. And for somebody who was not had not gotten the vocal training until later, it's not as noticeable as it is with people like me. But,
oh man, don't do that to yourself.
I'm built on self-deprecation. It's fine. It's part of my brand.
Okay. No, yes, so am I. Don't worry about it. Like, did you hear how earnest I sounded about myself when I was like, no, I'm an expert at this. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm so professional. Look at me. Oh man, I make tens of cents doing this. Oh, good Lord. All right. Nature Trail to Hell. Did you have anything else to say about Theme from Rocky 13?
I love that song. I when I was a kid, because I was a kid and stupid, I thought it really was the theme song to another movie that was coming out.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I thought Theme from Rocky 13 and Nature Trail to Hell were just songs that were for movies that I was yet to see. And I was excitedly anticipating them to hear the Weird Al theme song in them. Little did I know the next album, Dare to Be Stupid, would have 2 songs that would be featured in movies, but that's different.
Totally different. Yes. That's
and,
crazy.
and also a conversation for a different podcast.
Exactly. Well, the same podcast, it's a different episode of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nature Trail to Hell, then. I totally am right there with you, because like ending on 2 like movie kind of deals, I think that's interesting. And I feel like you need to know that I'm going to use that word again, of Nature Trail to Hell. My husband posited that this was like the movie studio putting more effort into a song to promote the movie than of the movie itself.
By the way, I think that this episode, like if you named episodes, would be positively deposited.
It would be something along those lines. I
Yes.
concur.
But no, the production level on this song, even above everything else on the album, is so strong and so big. And so, like I said, this is the beginning of Al's epic album closer thing. He doesn't do it on every album, but when he does do it, he goes hard.
Mm-hmm.
And, this admittedly is the shortest of those epics, but still it is 5 seconds shy of 6 minutes, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Oh, that's a long song.
And I have always wanted to see this movie. There is so much of this that is ingrained in my memory of hearing this album. And I mentioned that I was going to bring this up on the last episode I was on.
Yes.
But I got obsessed with trying to find out what the backwards message was in this song. And when I finally got it on vinyl, I got up to Nature Trail to Hell and I started to hand turn the record backwards so that it would play in reverse so that I could hear the message. And I had to crank it up and I had to listen real close, and I finally heard Satan eats cheese whiz in that weird little voice that it's being said in. And I loved it, and I tried to record it onto a tape because I had a tape deck attached to the record player that was in my family's household. And I kept trying to capture it, and I looped it a bunch of times, and I kept cranking it by hand. And my hand slipped, and it hit the needle, and it scratched my record.
Oh no, Ian.
So my vinyl copy of In 3D was permanently scratched and basically ruined because I kept trying to play it backwards to hear Satan Eats Cheese Whiz on it.
Oh, well, you know what? We talked about the whole backmasking thing on the last episode when we talked about Nature Trail to Hell. And I did a little bit of backmasking in that episode. So if you'd like, I feel like we should put this here. I'll 3, 2, 1, and then we can both say Satan Eats Cheese Whiz together, and I'll backmask it for the listeners of this podcast.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'll do 3, 2, 1, and then we say it.
Sounds good.
3, 2, 1. Satan eats cheese whiz.
With the lag, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's perfect. I like that very much. Thank you. So listeners,
Thank you.
They know what it's going to say, this one, but there was some backmasking on the last episode that have a good time with that, listeners of the Beard Out podcast. It's very stupid. So yeah, I feel like this is. Did you have any other points about side 2 that you thought really worked before we shoot it over to some advertisements so that I can?
I think I do, and I think this is going to be interesting because not only did I issue a redaction to the previous episode I was on at the beginning of this, but I'm going to issue a redaction to something I said previously in this episode.
Oh dear Lord.
opinions change, people. Sometimes I'm prepared, and sometimes when given new information, opinion changes. I actually almost like this side more than side A now, despite the fact that Eat It is such a great starter for that album, for that side. I feel like I almost actually like some of the songs on side B more than side A. I love side A, don't get me wrong, but like I said, Midnight Star and Buy Me a Condo aren't my favorites on that one, as I said in the previous episode. So I think when I said it before, I had it flipped. I kind of think side B is a little better than side A.
I love it. I love it. They're so fluid. And this just speaks to the balance of Weird Al Yankovic in 3D.
Yeah, because it's balanced in that I thought it was the one side, I thought it was the other, and honestly, they could both be equally good. And I'm just, me.
It depends on the day. Depends on
not only does it depend on the day, it depends on the minute. I only said that 20 minutes ago. Come on,
very true. I mean, who knows? It's great. It's fabulous.
Holy crap! I am flip-floppier more than a politician. What is happening?
I don't know. It's deja vu, but worse.
Oh, hey, reference. Hooray.
I love it. All right.
I literally just reacted to that.
That's great. I literally just watched it for the first time today because I try really hard to not upset myself with the political climate of the country that we're in right now.
I get that. Oh, real quick, for anybody who may be listening to this who actually doesn't know, Deja Vu But Worse is Weird Al's most recent collaboration with the Gregory Brothers,
Yes.
aka Shmo Yoho, also known as Songify the News. This is the next debate song from the presidential debate that's Shmo Yoho or the Gregory Brothers have turned into a song. The third that they've done with Weird Al.
Yeah, and I love that this is a fun little outlet for Weird Al. I think it's great. I love Weird Al being the voice of reason, which just shows
Al being the sane one is odd.
It just shows where we are, So I think this is a really good time for me to throw it to some ads, which hopefully aren't political. I'm pretty sure my settings make it so that they're not going to be, but if they are, please let me know. Fingers crossed you hear something for McDonald's, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hey there, I'm Dave, the host of Beer in Front. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. I'll talk about some old school beers that maybe you've forgotten about, some new beers that have the potential to be a classic. I'll also talk to various people around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
Hey, I'm Hansel Aaron from the BFYTW podcast, here with my buddy Stevie.
Hey, what's up?
And Augie.
Hey.
And we're here to, first of all, categorically deny the rumors going around that all we've been doing lately is copying other podcasts. This is categorically untrue, and we deny it completely. Having said that, please continue to enjoy the Beard Al podcast. But when you're done, please check out our new project, the Weird Ale podcast, where we pair an ale with a Weird Al song. Pretty sure that hasn't been done before.
All right, we're back. Please, okay, I hope you really liked those ads.
I hope so, too. I hope that you are compelled to buy that product or service.
Exactly. I mean, it slices, it dices. Look at that tomato.
when the first time I heard Mr. Popeil and he goes, look at that tomato, you could even cut a tin can with it, but you wouldn't want to. I thought he was talking about cutting a tin can with a tomato.
Oh yeah, I mean, who among us hasn't been there?
Yes,
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with
common misconceptions of Weird Al songs. Right.
I love it. It's great. Oh man. So see, now we're getting into the part that I sometimes refer to as the womp womp portion of the show, because it's like stuff that doesn't work. But you've already redacted. You've flip flopped on me.
I did flip flop a little, yeah. And but there is, I will say, something that doesn't work as well for this side. I will say, not in the total, not of the whole of the album, but just That Boy Could Dance. While I love that song and it has a personal place in my heart, not that great a song.
Okay.
It doesn't have nearly as many jokes per capita as some of the other songs on the album.
No,
That is what I mean by not that great. It is still a great song, but the amount of jokes in it aren't as strong as they are in the other songs on this side. They aren't as numerous as they are in the songs on this side. So as comparison for that, it is weaker in that respect.
May I make I don't want to say pause it again, but I feel like I have to.
Observation?
May I make an observation?
Yeah. Please do.
Now, looking at the album as a whole, okay, That Boy Could Dance is the only one that to me feels personal to Al.
I've heard this theory.
And so
where Al has made this song the most biographical song about him, but instead of dance was accordion.
right. So
And I've heard that theory. I don't know it to be true or not. I've never heard Al neither confirm nor deny this. So in that respect, sure. That does put it in a certain light. I will agree.
yeah, and so I guess my thought on that then is, and I don't know when these songs were written or anything like that, but lyrically, That Boy Could Dance feels like a carryover from his self-titled debut album.
Sure. Maybe not in musical style.
Not musically, but lyrically.
Lyrically, sure. I can see that. And that's entirely possible, entirely probable. I as a theory, I'm open to that.
This is just me. I don't know these things. This is the English major in me coming out being like, well, is this what the author could have meant when he said this? Or did it come, I love having that kind of conversation. And then sure. I love when the author can presumably come back to me and be like, no. I'm like, okay, well, that's how I interpreted your art. So take it.
Yes, exactly. I there's so much that, for this album that are entirely possible along any of those lines. I'm talking in circles at this point. So
that's
you can
okay.
cut that.
No. Trust me, I probably won't.
I figured as much, but at least you can leave in the part where I say you can cut it so people can realize that I can realize that I'm being an idiot.
No, well...
But no, I like it's one of those songs that is good and has really cool like as far as an original song goes, it's an original song.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's a pastiche of anything. And I enjoy that kind of original, especially because Al does it so seldomly after this album. But there again, it's back to what I was saying before, as far as packed with jokes, it isn't. And when you put it under the light of it's possibly autobiographical, you can see that a little bit.
Yeah, that's not me disagreeing with you either. I'm not saying that That Boy Could Dance absolutely is one of those, especially for those for whom the Eat It 45 or single was the first thing that you got. This song absolutely has a special place. This is the song that tells you oh man, this guy does things other than parodies, right? That's the thing that tells you that. And I think it was a good song to tell you that because it's unassuming in that way. I think it was the perfect song to be the B-side to Eat It because of the fact that the lyrics could presumably be kind of sort of somewhat personal, right? It's like the opposite of Eat It, And I think that's I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. And I'm looking at the track listing. I can't think of a single other track on here that would make sense as a B-side to Eat It.
I possibly Mr. Popeil, but that's a personal preference.
I almost think it's
and I
too
know
strong.
possibly
Yeah.
Midnight Star because Al wanted to lead the album with Midnight Star.
Yeah.
As we discussed in the previous appearance of me. But the previous discussion of side A.
Yes.
But other than those two, and those two still kind of like Midnight Star, maybe they didn't choose because it was the next song on the album, and so people would have already heard the first two songs on the album,
Yeah,
and
then
that
what's
makes
the
them
point?
skip to the middle of the album instead, and that doesn't make the album flow as well. So that makes an idea for maybe why they didn't choose it as the B-side. Mr. Popeil is a pastiche, so while it isn't a direct parody of any B-52s song, it is very much in the style of B-52s, and some people might think it's a direct parody.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than going with a pastiche, we went with the straight original.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that makes sense.
This does make a whole lot of sense because I mean this is the straightest of straight originals on here.
Which is why I decided to turn it into a pastiche when I covered it.
I love that. I love that. That's absolutely brilliant.
I was trying to inject a little humor by proxy to kind of enhance the idea of the song by making it a pastiche of Lady Gaga.
Oh, yes, the Lady Gaga, the ladiest of the Gagas. Yeah, and so I don't disagree, and at the same time, I'm just like I get why this song is here. Like I wouldn't change anything about it, and if I'm looking at this whole thing, I can't think of anything that like doesn't work.
Yeah,
it's
no, I
incredibly
agree. Like
balanced.
I said, it was a tiny doesn't work, but still in the whole of the album, in the placement of the album still flows very well with where it's placed. Everything works around it to kind of help enhance the song itself. The songs that surround it are so good. You're like, well, this song is also good because of that.
Yeah.
And in the general flow and movement of the album, it works. So that my tiny little nitpick of it is just a small drop in the bucket that is the entirety of the album.
Oh yeah, for sure. And this is just my. Again, I've got the entire track listing up in front of my face at the moment, so I'm doing like I think if I could make one change, and it would have to change several things because you just said, well, you don't want to have the B-side be the thing that is the second track on the album. Mm-hmm. I think the album might even be more balanced if Midnight Star and That Boy Could Dance switched places. I feel like going from
that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Like also now be with me on this. I feel like going from Eat It, which is Michael Jackson famous for the dancing, leading into That Boy Could Dance.
Well, that's also probably another reason why it was the B-side.
Yeah, that's absolutely for sure. But then if you go from That Boy Could Dance into the Brady Bunch, which is a parody of the Safety Dance, there's a lot.
You just have three dance, non-dance, dance songs.
Dance. And
it's a dance revolution.
It is. I'll tell you what, they have made some complete like revelations with the Dance Revolution game since my youth.
We need Weird Al video games. Where's Accordion Hero?
Oh
where's Polka Dance Revolution? I need all of these to happen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I mean, do you really want to influence children to go to polka parties? Is that what you want?
The city would be overrun by hey boys and hey girls.
That's the right answer to that question. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything that doesn't work. I might switch it and see how it sounds. I might make a playlist where I switch those two and see how I feel about it.
If you switch those two, let me put it this way. If they switched those two when the album came out, Midnight Star would have been the B-side to Eat It.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which wouldn't have been bad.
It wouldn't have been bad. It would have been, as we discussed previously, Al really loved that song and wanted to have that be the lead. Well, not lead single until he got the permission from Michael. I mean, or the lead song on the album. Having it be the B-side is a compromise, certainly. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
That probably would have changed that B-side had its position changed.
That's very true. I like this. Look, we're rewriting history, and it's okay.
I love theories like this.
I do too. It's so much fun. Okay.
This is the universe where Tony Stark doesn't become Iron Man, and that's why this happened.
Exactly. Oh my god. All right. Well, I think we're at the point where we give our 1 to 27 ranking on side 2 of this. And
do you remember what I gave side 1?
Nope.
Me either.
Nope. So you know what?
So this will be fun. It could be contradictory again. It could be me being that I said something different and whatever, but it's fine.
I love
Everything's fine.
It's great. You know what? This is again a proof positive that we are fallible human beings that are going.
I'm Jimmy Fallible.
Yeah. It's funny. We're going with our gut in the moment. I'm pretty sure I gave side 1 a 26, so I'm also going to give side 2 a 26.
I was also going to give side 2 a 26. I don't remember what I gave side 1.
I think you gave it. I'm pretty sure we were like, now that we're saying it out loud, we were close.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe I gave it like a 25 or a 24, but it might have been a 26. I could have said 26.
So let's go with it.
But so, I'm going to own the 26 for this one. Mm-hmm. And I probably owned the 26 in the moment for the other one. I don't recall, though, because I forgot to listen back to the episode before doing this. So, hooray.
It feels, well, I if you had asked me to tell you, I would have gone back and listened back through it, because there's something weird about going back and listening to yourself on other people's podcasts.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I mean, I do it because I'm a narcissist.
Oh,
but still.
For sure, me too. Like, why do you think I have a podcast?
Yes. Behold the sound of my voice. I'm so proud of it.
Yes. Look, I've honed this. I worked at a craft store all through college, and they let me do the closing announcements of the store over the PA system.
Oh, perfect.
And that lit a fire in me.
I did the opening announcements in my high school over the PA system, and I loved doing that, and people enjoyed me doing that. They said I had a great voice for it. I also was in every single play in the theater group in high school. Big surprise there. I was doing the morning announcements until I did a Good Morning Vietnam parody.
Oh, no.
And they kicked me off the thing because I started it, "Good morning, TC High!" And everyone was startled and they didn't like me doing it anymore.
I love that. I think that's marvelous.
Yes, it goes to show I clearly have a face for radio.
Oh my God. This is it. We've got stories like this, and I think it's wonderful. Like my very last day working at the craft store, because I was like, what are they going to do? Fire me at this point? I did the closing announcements for the night, and he had to do it like every 5 minutes, right? You did it at 4:45, 10:00, 5:00, and then at 9:00 when the store closed.
Bring your final purchases to the front. We are closing in 5 minutes.
I did it in a different accent every 5 minutes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was great. So it's like one of them I did my Russian accent, which was very fun to do. I said, look, attention shoppers, we're closing. But my favorite one was when I slipped into my Linda Richmond voice, and I said, okay, we're going to be closing now, so you better bring your yarn and your scrapbook supplies and all your purchases up to the registers. And and what my manager at the time was like, we should have been having you do it like that all the time. And I was like, I asked, you told me no.
Yeah, right. This is what you lost.
You've lost out on this now.
This was your fault. You could have had this every night, but you said nay.
No. We could have been the cool AC Moore, but no.
Right. Speaking of accents in retail, I know we're going off topic here, but you reminded me of a thing, so I have to say a thing. Remember, guys, shut up Ian is a real thing. I talk all the time until I'm told I'm not to. I was working in a music store, as I said before, in high school. During the Christmas rush, I would just be planted at the register and could not move. We had enough employees to go help customers find things. I was there just to ring people up. because, that was what I had to do on a certain shift. So in order to keep my sanity, which obviously didn't work given my stage name, I would go through different accents in ringing people up constantly.
That's great.
I was Irish, I was English, I think I did German for a little bit, Russian. I was just going through all the different accents I could, just being in line. People thought I was really Irish for a whole day, which was fun. Just the kind of stupid things that I do to entertain me. And yeah, that just reminded me of that. Sorry. At least it was a short story.
Don't apologize for that. We're very much on the same page with that, for sure. I have a handful of accents.
Is it any wonder I'm a performer?
Right?
I'm so sorry.
No, I know. No. Don't apologize for this. This is delightful. I was actually... okay, I'm just gonna say it. I was telling my husband that sometimes, like when I have to sit down and record the podcast, because we met because of podcasting, so he totally gets this whole thing. And
right.
I said, there's sometimes where like I know like when I'm in it and I'm doing it, like I'm gonna come out with a great episode, because I don't think there's any bad episode of this show. But there's sometimes I sit down and I'm like, sometimes it feels like work, until you get there and you're in it, and then you're like, okay, we're having a good time. This is fine. I was like, yeah, like with Ian, I know this is going to be, I know I'm just going to have a good time. Like, I was just like, all right, it wasn't so, there are some things, yeah, for sure. And you take that as the compliment it is, because it's huge. There are some podcast episodes where beforehand you're like, oh, I have to go do this now, so I have content to put out, right?
I gotta go back to the content farm.
I gotta go to the content farm. But seriously, and then like for this, like all day, I was just like, oh, I get to talk to Ian about side 2 of In 3D. It wasn't an I have to, it was an I get to. And I try very hard to make sure that as many guests as possible, as many things I do in podcasting now that I'm like established and I kind of know where I am in things. I do things I get to do instead of feeling like I'm doing things I have to do. And you are very near the top of my, I get to talk to this person list. So there you have.
That's wonderful. That has made my evening. Thank you so much.
This is what I'm here to do,
Yay. Well, it's always a joy to be invited and to do the podcast with you. So I appreciate that. And I thank you so much for including me on this madcap journey of yours as well.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to say this now so that you can get to say this in something that I may or may not cut. But I'm doing the same thing with Dare to Be Stupid starting in the next couple of weeks. So you have plenty of time till I get to the end of side 1. But I will probably tap you to do the same thing.
I would love to do Dare to Be Stupid.
Great. So, all right, folks, you've got that to look forward to when we get to that.
I not that I don't look forward to these episodes, but I'm now really looking forward to that.
Hooray!
Because I of course love to discuss Al with you. I love doing that, and again, thank you. Mm-hmm. But Dare to Be Stupid means so much to me, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's super important. I know you plugged a bunch of stuff at the beginning, but again, you do it here at the end now that people got to hear you again, and then we'll close the show out.
Yeah, if you guys liked hearing me opine egregiously about all sorts of things having to do with comedy music and flip-flopping of opinions as new information is formed and received, then you might like my video series, Comedy Musician Reacts, which I do every Friday over at youtube.com/insaneian. You can, of course, get those episodes early, as well as exclusive reactions like the ones I'm doing to Weird Al's music videos, and all sorts of things like my music early and other perks at patreon.com/insaneian. And if you just want my music without having to deal with all the early stuff and weird demos and things like that, you can, of course, find all the music I've done at insaneian.bandcamp.com.
Beautiful. I love it. That's a delightful pitch. And that will make it easy for me to put all of those links in the notes to this episode. So we'll do the best I can for that. I'll also put a link to your side 1 recap here, so people hadn't heard that.
And just for gits and shiggles, put a link to taking funny music seriously as well.
Yes, of course I will. And then I'm gonna get Lily on here because I'm gonna do a couple non-album episodes before I jump into Dare to Be Stupid. So fingers crossed. I hope Lily is one of those. But what people will get to hear in the meantime just so for planning purposes, because for the last couple of months, it's been like, oh, they're going to be talking about in 3D songs. It's like, all right, what is Lauren going to do now? I think the next episode I'm going to be doing is we got the 4K UHF Blu-ray situation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mine just shipped today.
Oh, you are in for a treat, my friend. We watched it the day that it arrived. It arrived at my house a week ago today, as of this recording, and immediately watched it. Like there was no waiting whatsoever. So Russ and I are actually going to kind of do a not so much a reaction, but just kind of a recap and our take on like what's so great about this new 4K release, because there's some bonus features on there that are quite fun. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to do an episode with my friend Robert Yanez Jr. from Crooked Table Productions about Spy Hard, which over 4 years into a Weird Al podcast, we haven't talked about Spy Hard at all.
Wow.
So we're going to do that. And
another song written for a movie. Hey, it's a theme.
It's a theme. I know. I love it. I gotta talk to Lily and get her on here before that. But when
Lily, by the way, is one of the jurors for the Logan Awards this year.
Oh, look at her go! I love that. You know what? I'm allowed to say this. She's a mensch. I love Lily. She's delightful.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Real quick, not to plug something else kind of late in the game.
No,
but
do it.
The Logan Awards are the Comedy Music Awards. We're taking open nominations until July 31st. If a song was released in 2023, it is eligible for this year's awards. You can go nominate your favorite songs or check out the previous winners and all sorts of information at LoganAwards.com.
Beautiful. Love it. Yes, you do that.
I'm the chairperson of the awards, so I have to plug that as well. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. I think it's a delightful thing. I love that that's the kind of thing that people give a hoot about.
Yeah, no, we decided to make the awards because not enough people gave a hoot about comedy music. It was kind of relegated to the spoken word category in the Grammys. So we thought, hey, let's honor our comedy musicians, and of course name it after a comedy musician who sadly left us before his time, Logan Whitehurst, who is also a great source of comedy music, and because we honor him, we're honoring the new comedy musicians. So
that's awesome. I love that. I think that's great, and I love that that's the kind of thing that exists in the world. So yeah, we're gonna have a good time here in between albums, and then kick off Dare to Be Stupid coming up soon. My stepson Zach has volunteered to kick off Dare to Be Stupid to talk about Like a Surgeon. So yeah, isn't that exciting? So it's going to be me and an 18-year-old person, and maybe his dad. We might make it a family affair, who knows, to talk about Like a Surgeon to kick off Dare to Be Stupid. So he was very enthusiastic. I literally put it on Twitter, which is what I'm still calling it. I put it on Twitter.
Oh yes, no, that's what everybody should call it.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, because I have a couple guests lined up for other subsequent songs on Dare to Be Stupid so far. And I was like, I need somebody to open this up. And Zach was like, as soon as I posted, he was like, me. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, then we'll make that happen, sir. So, yeah. So that'll be fun, I think. And, Ian, thank you so much for being here and doing this and having I had a good time.
It's always a delight, and I'm always honored and thankful that you invite me and want to hear my dulcet tones screaming at you about the weird things that we like. I appreciate being asked to do this, so thank you for having me.
Well, you're very, very welcome, and you'll be back sooner than later. You know that whenever we're flipping the side of an album, I'm going to call on you. So...
Okay, well, yes, I'm in for that type of analysis. Absolutely.
Hooray! All right. Well, people, we will come at you again next time with some more Beard Out. But in the meantime, enjoy your life and have a good time. Okay, bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.